It happened in a quiet courthouse where justice was supposed to live. Yet that day, justice looked away. He was a seasoned officer, known for his temper and his pride. She was just another face in the crowd, a woman there to witness a case. But when she refused to move fast enough, his patience snapped. One kick, one act of humiliation, and the echo filled the courtroom. No one spoke. The judge froze. Cameras caught everything. But what nobody realized was that this woman wasn't just a bystander. She carried a secret that would soon turn the entire department upside down. And when the truth came out, that same officer would wish he had never lifted his foot. Her name was Angela Morris, a 45-year-old community liaison known for her calm strength and quiet grace. She'd spent 2 decades working with youth, teaching them how to navigate a world that too often judged them before they spoke. That morning, she had come to court to support a teenager from her program, a boy facing charges he didn't deserve. Officer Rick Collins, on the other hand, had been in uniform for 20 years. To some, he was old-school law and order. To others, he was arrogance in a badge. When Angela stepped into that courtroom, their worlds collided. Rick barked orders for people to clear the aisle. Angela, confused but respectful, tried to move aside. A slight delay and he snapped. He kicked her bag out of the way, muttered words no one should repeat, and pushed her toward a bench. The room went still. A camera phone recorded the whole thing. Angela didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply straightened her coat, looked him in the eye, and whispered, "Someday, you'll remember this moment." He laughed. Everyone else stayed silent. But word travels fast in small towns, and that clip, only 9 seconds long, traveled faster than anyone expected. By the evening, the video had reached the local news. By morning, the department was in damage control. Rick was under review, but inside he felt untouchable. After all, he told himself, she's just another woman making a fuss. He didn't know that his own arrogance had already begun digging a hole he couldn't climb out of. Weeks passed. The courthouse incident faded from headlines, or so Rick thought. He kept working his shifts, still smug, still certain he'd outlast the outrage. But something was changing behind the scenes. The department's leadership had come under pressure. The mayor's office wanted a new face to lead the force, someone who could restore public trust and bridge the gap between police and community. Rick heard the whispers. A new chief was coming. He didn't care. He joked about it with his colleagues, saying, "Hopefully not another activist trying to teach us our job." Laughter filled the locker room. None of them knew what was waiting. Meanwhile, Angela kept working quietly. She'd been approached months earlier by the mayor's advisory board, impressed by her leadership in community reform. After the video went viral, the offer became official. She was to be the new police chief, the first black woman to ever hold the position in that city. She accepted, not out of revenge, but out of duty. "Change doesn't happen from the outside," she said. "It happens when you walk right through the front door." And that day came sooner than anyone imagined. The morning of the announcement arrived. Officers filled the briefing room. Crisp uniforms, murmurs of curiosity. Rick leaned back, arms folded, ready to meet whoever was brave enough to lead his department. The mayor stepped up first. "Today," he said, "we welcome someone who understands both justice and compassion, Chief Angela Morris." The door opened. She stepped in, poised, confident, wearing the same calm expression she'd had that day in court. For a second, Rick didn't breathe. His jaw slackened. The air seemed to thicken. She smiled. Not a smirk, not vengeance, but a quiet, knowing smile that carried weight. Every officer in the room felt it. That invisible shift, authority wrapped in grace. Rick wanted to disappear, but the worst part was still coming. Her first speech as chief began with silence. She let it stretch just long enough for the discomfort to grow. Then she said, "Some of you know me already. Some think you do." Her eyes met Rick's for a fraction of a second. "I've seen what happens when authority loses its humanity. I've lived it, but I didn't come here to punish. I came here to rebuild." Every word landed like a stone on still water. She talked about accountability, respect, and the duty of every badge, to protect with dignity, not power. Rick shifted in his seat, sweat forming on his collar. He couldn't look away. And then, softly, she said, "A few months ago, someone in this department taught me how far we still have to go. That lesson hurt, but it opened my eyes, and maybe one day it will open his too." No names, no accusations, but everyone knew. The same officer who'd humiliated her now sat in the front row, humbled by the woman he'd once treated as nothing. In that moment, the roles reversed, not through revenge, but through grace. Rick's heart pounded. For the first time in his career, he felt small. He realized that real strength wasn't in his badge or his authority. It was in the quiet power of the woman standing before him. Weeks turned into months. Under Chief Morris, the department changed. Community meetings replaced barricades. Officers were retrained in empathy, not just enforcement. And surprisingly, Rick stayed. He asked to meet with her privately one afternoon. When he stepped into her office, he struggled for words. "Chief, I was wrong. About everything." She nodded gently. "Change doesn't start with perfect people, Officer Collins. It starts with honest ones." He left her office that day with tears in his eyes, the kind of tears that come when pride finally breaks. That night, he replayed the courtroom moment over and over. The kick, the shame, the silence. He realized he couldn't erase it, but he could make sure it never happened again. From that day forward, he volunteered for every community outreach shift. He listened more than he spoke. Some said he'd changed. Others weren't sure. But Angela noticed, because sometimes redemption isn't loud, it's steady. Months later, when the local paper ran a story titled, "How One Department Rebuilt Trust," a photo showed them both, the chief and the once arrogant officer, standing side by side. The caption read, "Respect Rebuilt." And in the comment sections beneath that article, people wrote things like, "This is what America needs more of." Older readers, parents, veterans, they saw something in this story that went beyond race or authority. It was about humility, forgiveness, growth. Angela never mentioned that day in court again. She didn't need to. The silence said enough. But deep inside, one question lingered. One she hoped her city would keep asking. How many more lessons like this will it take before we finally learn to see each other as human first?